Hello, everybody. Hope you're very well indeed, and welcome to this late night evening live stream where we're going to be going over some short trades. I will be going over Bitcoin. We can touch on silver because I've been trading both of these. And yeah, I hope that you're really looking forward to this one. Make some noise if you're live in the chat with us. I know some people are going to be watching live now. Others will be watching this back over the next few days. So whether you are here with us live in the time or whether you're watching this back later, first of all, I just hope that you are doing very, very well. As you know, I am actually in the middle of a war zone right now. So middle of the war zone, but we are still taking the very best trades. I'll tell you that. So yeah, I am obviously in the Middle East, if you did not know. And we literally had about hour and a half ago missile alerts going off, the sirens alarms, get inside, get to cover, and so yeah, it's still kicking off right now. It is still very, very volatile, let's say, but you can't keep us off the charts. You cannot keep the champs off of these charts, my friends. Any day we are here ready to play. And even better when you're taking good trades. And so that's what I want to cover today. As you see the title of this video, finally ready, finally time to short Bitcoin, speculative channel high, $74,000. Let's talk you through this. I see people are just slowly starting to come in here. So I just want to, yeah, let's go over and just say hello. Let's pop out this chat. We'll just give people a few minutes to get over here and join as we start this live stream off. So let's see who we got in the chat. Yo, hello. Emergency warning stream. Let's go. This guy is already in short trades, but wants to hear what we're going to be going over today. We can look at some fractals. I'm definitely going to look at silver. $10,000 giveaway link. So yes, I'll pin that, I suppose. If you want to enter the $10,000 giveaway, that is going to be drawn tomorrow. Link if you want to join. I've pinned to the chat. So yeah, that's ongoing. Tomorrow we'll do the $10,000 giveaway. Hello. Hope you're all doing very well. Smash the likes, smash up those likes if you're happy that we are here, we are trading, and we are going to be going over the market today. Hello from Greece. Hope that you're doing good in Greece. From the trenches. We are here, we are live. Yeah, hope that you're all doing very well indeed, and super happy to be with you all tonight. So yeah, this stream is not going to be a long one. Here is actually 11 p.m. So it is, for me, this is late. No, I'm normally always asleep by now. But literally, when you're having the missile alerts going off, it's a little bit hard to get to sleep. So this is like a very, very, very rare time that I'll be streaming at 11 p.m. Because honestly, like I love to sleep. I'm actually a bit boring. I love to sleep like 8, 9 o'clock. I love to get my early sleep. And so yeah, to be here at 11 p.m. we're in for a special one anyway, right? So let's. I wanted to start this off with a little bit of a story time. So obviously people are still trickling in here. We have now 500 people live. I think we'll get to 1,000 over the next few minutes here. So yeah, while people are still joining, let's do a quick story time recap of what we are up to right now on Bitcoin. So this was now nearly 2 days ago. We were just starting to see the breakout of this downward sloping parallel channel. We had two levels of interest, right? $70,000 and then $74,000. Real simple stuff. We broke through very cleanly, $70,000. So what are we looking for next? $74,000. Okay, this was of course as always, posted first to the champions, but I gave this also on Twitter, X, however you want to call it, ahead of time. So you can see this was yesterday, way ahead of time, saying we're still looking for that $74,000 zone next. At that point in time, I was not in any short trades. Of course, I have taken short trades over the last few weeks, but at this moment in time, I was not in any trades. They had all hit a take profit one, got stopped on the rest. And so I was in a position where I was not in any shorts and I was looking for higher. Where to? $74,000. Clear as day. You knew what I was ready and waiting for. I have, of course, talked about this too over here on YouTube many times. $74,000. reminding you all this morning, $74,000. Let's get that rejection underway. Once again, we're just highlighting here, we were calling for that $74,000 short trade for actually a few weeks or almost a month. We were ready. We were waiting. I took the short trade. And now you know. If you aren't following on X, you should be, because we've been talking about this for the past 24 hours. We got the shorts in. This comment made me laugh. Missiles flying, but bros still making money trading. Out of this world. Never doubt the GOAT. Everyone was calling for higher when we hit $74,000, but the champs ready, loaded up the computer, taking the shorts, and here we are today. Let's see how this is going right now. Hitting $71,000, actually coming into a very important take profit one zone, by the way. And what is this? It is the low of our parallel channel low on a back test of the range value area high. So this is what I class as a very key level for bulls to maintain in terms of a support resistance flip. Okay, so this is a very important support resistance flip, and it was the low of a daily naked point of control. So you are bouncing off of a round, you're coming into the support of the daily naked point of control, which was just below $71,000. Okay, it was around $70,900. So you are currently bouncing off of the daily naked point of control, of course, previous day point of control. And so that's why we have this little support zone here from the daily naked point of control, which we've now tapped into. Mini range low, value area high. You know, naturally, this is a little bit of an intraday support where you could be looking for a take profit one on the short trades, right? So, yeah, newsflash. I am in a short trade. Any questions? Now is the time to ask, especially, of course, if you are live with us. You know, ask any questions and I will happily answer for you all here. But yeah, I think it was a fairly simple short trade, to be honest with you. You know, if you have been following along in the YouTube videos, of course, if you're in the Discord, you know that we've been ready and waiting for this one for a long time. This was from the most recent Champions live stream, but a real simple idea of breakout up to around that $74,000 target level where we got the rejection, and like I say, wait for the reaction. There was a clear reaction from $74,000, so you know, I've taken the short trade. This was 12 hours ago now, and so you know, it's just a simple case of, as I always say, have the plan, wait for the reaction, trade the plan. Nothing else to do. Here we are 12 hours later. We've already seen nearly a 4% decrease in price. A little bit more than that now, right? So from the high down to the low, nearly 5% now. So, you know, it's gone, of course, very nicely. But please, any questions, let me know. Just so you can see, yesterday, we did have no reaction at that $70,000 level. So we had two areas of interest for short trades while we were within this channel, right? 70,000, then 74,000. 70,000, we ended up flipping to support. 74,000 was the next target. Just to show you really clearly here, when we were still trading within that parallel channel, there was no reaction at all at that $70,000. So that's the key difference here, right? No reaction, so no trade. You can all understand that because this is one of the most key concepts of Chart Champions, how we do our trading. We have the alert set, ready and waiting. The alert was set at 70,100 at the daily naked point of control. There was no reaction, right? No reaction. So there is no short trade to be had. We were ready to short this level. Price goes straight through the level. There's no short trade to be had because there was no reaction at all. What happens when you hit into $74,000? The exact opposite. You hit into the level and you have a clear wick into $74,000 and you have a clear reaction, a clear rejection. At that point is, of course, where I class as aggressive short trades, but you were given the most calm short trade retest. Okay, so this is a lovely retest with, if you know how to read order flow, you were forming bearish divergences all day long. Look at that crazy bearish divergences that you were forming at the highs. You saw new longs opening, massive bearish divergences on the retest. You know, there was no excuse, right? We can just say this, especially if you are here as a champion member, there was no excuse not to be making massive amount of profits right now. First of all, you had me confirming for you all that I'm in the short, which is like confidence booster number one. Daniel's in a short. There you go. That's probably number one confidence booster. Number two, you have the retest with the bearish divergences, with the longs opening up into the high. You see, as you're coming into the high here, 9 million longs opening, 5 million longs opening. Another 1 million long opening here. Then you saw continuation here, another 1 million longs, 2 million longs, 3 million longs. So you continuously saw these longs opening, another 3 million longs at the very high of the retest. So it was just absolutely insane. This is what I mean. Order flow is super advantageous, right? If you did not short the absolute high, who cares if you didn't? The retest was the best opportunity. Again, you had me giving confirmation that I've took the short trade. You had a retest with bearish divergences with trapped longs into the high, retest with bearish divergences. From an order flow perspective, you could not ask for more. That is a perfect bearish retest. From an order flow perspective, everything that you would want to have high confidence in taking that short. And again, from even on that retest to the low, it's almost a 4% move to the downside. Coming into the daily naked point of control, you could lock in a take profit and you're in a win-win situation, whatever happens next. It's a lovely position to be in when you can win whatever happens next. Let me take some questions here really quickly because I do see quite a few questions coming through. Of course, I will say this, I will not be able to answer every single question because I can already see we have a lot of questions, but I will answer as many as possible here. So somebody's first question I see here is, what are we bouncing from? So we are bouncing from a daily naked point of control. Okay, so to be precise, you had a daily naked point of control there at $70,900. So at $70,900 was your previous day point of control, which was the daily naked point of control. You have hit into that daily naked point of control, and that is what you are bouncing from right now. A daily naked point of control at $70,900. Of course, it's also the zone of that mini range low and the retest of the value area high. So it's a support zone, but you are bouncing off of, to be precise, the daily naked point of control. Somebody says, do you think we can make another high above $74,000? So let me answer that now next. Do I think we can make another high above $74,000? My answer to that is yes, I do think that is possible. Okay, how could we be looking? Of course, I have to say there's no financial advice here, but from an educational entertainment perspective, how could we be looking for a new trade here? Will actually be the downtrend anchored VWAP from that $98,000 zone, right? So we do have a scenario where another high can come here. Absolutely valid, absolutely fine as well if that happens. What we have is this downtrend anchored VWAP right on the top of the range. So ideally we would see a setup that ends along these types of lines, right? We see that move into the high, faking out the highs, coming back into the range, and at that point we have our short trade entry where we could look for just a continuation of the range. Fake out of the low, long, fake out of the high, short, fake out of the low, long, fake out of the high, short, trade the range till it breaks. If we break range low, we can look down, well, to the point of control value area low. If we break range high, we can look up to, well, $76,000 next, right? So it's level to level trading, but for right now we do have a very well respectable range here going on. And so how can we make another new high? Yes, absolutely. How would we look for a short trade if we make a new high? I would approach it like this. Wait for the fake out, right? So it's very much similar to $70,000. You got one of two things, right? We were ready to short $70,100. What happened? Price went straight through the level, got above the level. Of course, there was no short trade to be had here. None at all. So what's the difference and what would we be looking for here? Well, if price does this, boom, straight through the level, flips it into support, there's no short trade to be had. We never activate a short trade if it does this, boom, straight through the level. No short trade to be had. We only get the short trade if it does something like this, bang into the level, back down into the range. That activates a short trade. It activates an entry trigger. We do not place limit orders and hope for a rejection. No, we place alerts and we wait to see a rejection. That is the number one way that you will absolutely massively increase your win rate. I truly believe that that one thing alone will turn you into a high win rate trader. Stop placing limit orders and hoping for the best. Start waiting for the reaction and trading the data behind it. Okay, that in my opinion is a very high win rate, edge right there. Trade the reactions. Of course, I understand if you are if you have a full-time job where you're 9 to 5 away from the computer, then in those types of scenarios, placing limit orders is a legit strategy. Of course, you are going to have not as high of a win rate, but if you have no option to be at the computer checking, then limit orders are still your best option. I totally actually agree with that. But if you are able to spend more time at the computer, or if an alert goes off, check your phone, for example, well, then alerts are advantageous. But if you are super busy in life, trading is just like your side venture, or you're still working a full-time job and you cannot just be placing alerts and checking the charts during your working hours, well then of course placing limit orders, you are hoping for the best, but it is still at least taking trades. And if there's a thought out plan behind it, you can place limit orders. If you get stopped out, well, it's all within your realms of risk management, right? So it shouldn't be the end of the world if you get stopped out of the shorts. But anyway, that would be my little bit there. Let me see what else. Other questions? Do I do copy trading? No, I'm not at the moment doing copy trading. Thoughts on silver. So I will give my thoughts on silver. I am in a short trade also on silver, by the way. Still in my long from 72, but now I have a short from around 93. I got into that with a market conditional order as soon as we broke down below 93. So I have a long from actually 72 and a short from 93. So it's kind of a nice position to be in right now. I have a long from the lows here on silver and a short from the highs. I always love to be in that position. And so, yeah, my thought now is, well, let's wait and see how this breaks. I'll either get stopped out my long or I'll get stopped out my short. But yeah, ultimately, this, in my opinion, was amazing strong support on silver at $72. You had a weekly, you had a third touch setup, and of course, it was still that strong uptrend anchored VWAP. This is a massive, massive, massive support on $72 to $68. Why is this a short trade? Well, really simply, you come back into this support resistance, fake out of the previous high. Okay, if you're talking about this as your fake out of the previous high, again, very similar to what we're seeing on Bitcoin, fake out of the high. It was not that difficult of a short trade. You just had to be a little bit patient or with conditional orders. And ultimately, this is just range bound. So when you just delete everything on silver, it's not that exciting. It is very range bound. You have the range low, you have the range high. What did you do at the lows? You faked out the range lows, and now you've faked out the range highs. Here was a bit of a swing failure pattern. Here was more of a failed auction. But ultimately, what have you done? Range low, range high, range low, range high. So what we can do? Just remain range bound here. And at one point, we will either get the breakout with no fake out of the range high, and then honestly, we can look back up to a new all-time highs, or alternatively, we rotate back down to the range low, lose that, and I would look towards $50. So I am fairly neutral, to be honest. I know not people like it when I'm neutral, but on silver, I am fairly neutral. I am not super bullish here, but I'm not bearish either. And I'm also positioned fairly neutral. I have a long from $72, which is hit take profit. And I have a short from $93. And so my positioning is pretty neutral right now. And my bias is also fairly neutral. Silver is a difficult one to read. I would still lean a bit more bullish. I am still bullish on the precious metals, but not like super bullish. Again, I took a short trade 2 days ago, 3 days ago on silver. So, yeah, I think that's just the position you always want to be in. It's the same on Bitcoin. You don't want to be super, super bullish on Bitcoin, but you don't want to be too bearish either, right? Just trade good trades when they come. If you get a good long trade, take the long. If you get a good short trade, take the short. That's what I do, right? It's not about being super bullish or super bearish. Just take good trades when they come. They can be longs, they can be shorts. So yeah, that would be my answer on that. Somebody says, how exactly do I enter the $10,000 giveaway? So I have explained this before, but I will take another minute to explain this. So really easy to enter the $10,000 giveaway. It is in connection, of course, with BitUnex, and it's already part of the deal. So if you haven't already signed up, the number one way to enter is sign up using the Chart Champions code. That enters you into the $10,000 giveaway when you enter your user ID here. And on top of the $10,000 giveaway, for the next 4 days while you sign up, you will still get VIP 3 for 6 months. You will still get the deposit bonus. You will still get the well rebates, and you can still be in with the lucky draw to business class and 5-star hotel to Mexico. So this is going to be a nice one for me, because I'm actually planning to stay in the UAE, like the UAE. I'm in the UAE right now. I was in Oman. We've come across to the UAE. They're both as bad as each other. You have to be really careful with what you say, by the way. But yeah, I'm currently in the UAE, and this, though, I will be heading to Mexico City. If this wasn't on, I would stay here, right? But this is on, and you could say, through the grace of God, I will be in Mexico City for this event. So this will get me out of the war zone. And I will be heading to Mexico City for this event. So yeah, if you are to be one of the lucky winners, you will get to see me and some other coaches of Chart Champions. It's going to be fun. It's a little bit of a meetup, you could call it, but a very exclusive one, because there's only going to be 5 people winning. But for everybody else, you can get the VIP 3, you get the deposit bonus, you get the well rebates. These are real tether bonuses, by the way. So this is real money that you can actually use to trade. It's not just going to offset fees. It's not going to be just for stop loss things, right, which I know other exchanges do. This is a real tethered deposit that you can actually use to trade, right? This bonus reward you can use to take trades. So that is very advantageous. That is a very good bonus. But you already know about this. I've talked about how good this bonus is too many times. And that is just because, honestly, it is a legit good bonus. But on top of that, we're also giving away $10,000. So yeah, if you haven't entered, use the link to sign up. Gets you into the deal, and you can enter your user ID here to enter into a $10,000 giveaway. So that is how you do it, and I hope that is explained well enough. Somebody's, how is the situation in Oman? So I was in Oman, and things started to get a bit risky in Oman. We are now I'm not in Dubai, by the way. So we are in the outskirts. We're in another emirate. So it's very close to the border of Oman, and we are like, well, the area that we're in here is a little bit more chill, but it's still not super chill. We still had alerts going off. We still had the sirens. We still literally you hear the missiles so close to you. It is crazy, and it is scary. I'm not going to lie to you. It is scary when you hear a missile going right over your head, and you hear massive bangs waking you up, and then sirens going off. I think anyone that says it's not scary, I think is lying. Like, it is scary. Or it is for me anyway. I have a baby. I have a newborn baby. I have a wife. I guess if you're alone and you're it's probably, all I can say is if I was alone, I probably wouldn't be so worried. But when you have a family, of course, we are worried in that regards, but at the same time, we are holding strong in our faith. And it is our faith which is keeping us very, well, I don't want to lie and say we're not scared, but it's keeping us very, it's keeping me anyway, very calm, and just like praying and just saying, like, God, we are here for a reason. We don't want to run away at this point in time. We are here. We feel that we've been brought here, and there is a reason and a purpose behind it. So, anyway, I don't want to get this stream into that. Let's come over to see any more questions that we got. Do I still think lower will come below $60,000? Of course, I'm not like an oracle. I am not a god when it comes to this. You have to understand, I just talk about probabilities. Okay, and I can be wrong. just because I know there's going to be somebody that when I give this answer puts their whole life savings into a short and then blames me when, if price pumps next, oh my God, Daniel, I got wrecked. Not financial advice. Do not take this as gospel. I'm not a god, right? But do I still believe there is the high probability that we go below $60,000? Yes, I do believe that. And I've always based this on while we're below the bigger range value area low, while we're below that level, I still believe the highest probability is to come below $60,000 and hit into this target zone. Okay, I do still believe that this is the target that will be hit. Can I be wrong on that? Yes, I can be wrong on that, right? And if I'm wrong on that, I'm not going to get wrecked. I will just get stopped out of this short trades and I will see price rise from here, let's say to $90,000. Amazing, right? Of course, I would get stopped out of the short I'm in at the moment, but again, as a trader, as somebody that truly is happy to see Bitcoin at $100,000, just as I'm happy to see Bitcoin at $10,000, it's not the end of the world for me if we see Bitcoin tomorrow at 100K. Yes, I get stopped out of this short and I get stopped out of the short, right? It's not the end of the world. Bitcoin is not my personality, right? I am happy to trade this wherever it is. I'm not a perma bull. I'm not a perma bear. I just wait to take good trades. I thought I had a good trade at $74,000. Well, I think it was because I've made profits. It's as simple as that. But do I think that we go below $60,000? My answer is yes. While we remain below the larger range, which is, of course, when I talk about the larger range, all the way back from the 5th of November to current price action, while we remain below the value area low, well, yeah, this is a lovely rally, but I can't say there's any massive strength above it. Okay, there's no strength right now. It is even not able to get, I haven't even tested it, but the downtrend anchored VWAP. So it's a little premature, in my opinion, to be getting super bullish up here when we are into significant resistance. If we get above this, well, then we can start to say, well, actually, yeah, the low might be in. And I'm not going to lie to you. If I think that's the case, I will say it. At the moment, I do not think the low is in because of, well, two reasons. The number one is we haven't actually seen that major sign of strength yet. Number two, we're still below the bigger range value area low. Of course, could the low be in? Yes. And maybe I say in a few weeks, I think the low is in, if that strength comes. It's as simple as that. Any other questions? Let me know. How many people we got in here right now then? Oh, wow. We got 2,500 people. That's crazy. There's a lot of people here. Hello, everybody. If you're enjoying it, smash up that like. Smash up that like, my friends. Every like is super appreciated. And I hope that you're all very much enjoying this stream. What are we at? Nearly 11:30. I'll probably be wrapping this up soon. Yeah, we've come into our level. We've got a rejection. I'm in the short trade here locally. How am I looking to approach this? Trade the range till it breaks, my friends. You all love it. Trade the range till it breaks. And the range I'm referring to is around $70,400 to $74,000. So, really simply, I will look for one or two things over the coming hours. Do we see the fake out of the range low and then we can rotate back up to the range high? Or do we see this break down below the range low and get acceptance? And then I can look for that bigger move to the downside. Exactly what I was looking for yesterday. At this level, did we hit into the level, reject, and then I could have took a short? Or do we go through the level, back test it, or then I don't take a short and I look for my next level, which was, of course, $74,000. It's the same here. I'm not a god. I'm not able to know exactly what's going to happen. That's why I wait for reactions. Do we get a bullish reaction and rotate back up? Or do we not get the reaction, loss of the level, and look for lower? Really, it is as simple as that. Of course, I make that seem very simple. Could you get something that looks like this, a loss of the level? It looks like you've lost the level and then it gets back in and then you get... Yes, of course, there is never just... It's not just black and white. There are sometimes fake outs and the fake outs, and that is where it gets a little bit tricky. But I will say this, if it starts to get a little bit tricky, don't take a trade, right? You can wait for those clear A+ setups, right? And if it is getting a little bit tricky, don't take a trade. Wait for clarity. Wait for those good trade setups. And I truly believe that's what we had today. Again, number one, you had me confirming I've taken a short trade. That is as much clarity as a lot of people will say they need. But number two, you had the order flow, the move into the level, the longs into the very high, the retest with bearish divergences, the confirmation I've taken shorts. Like, that is what you call an A+ setup. 4% move to the downside, you're in profits whatever happens next. Right, that is clarity. That's waiting for good trades. Right, if you are in a situation where it's getting a bit choppy, you're like, oh my God, I'm not sure what to do anymore. Hey, wait for clarity. Wait for my live streams, and you will start to, gain a bit of confidence, because that's what it comes down to at the end of the day, confidence. And, I'm not here to say I win every trade I take. Of course, no, I don't. I will sometimes make mistakes. I will sometimes lose some trades. That's just part of trading. It's impossible to win every trade you take. And I know some people will try and say, oh, Daniel, I don't know. A lot of people do a lot of talking. But at the end of the day, right, a lot of people do a lot of talking, but when you got the skill at talking to highs, you got the skill at shorting the highs. I don't even know where I'm going with this. I am very tired. I'm probably going to call it a night here, by the way. It was just a real quick live stream to say, yeah, I am in a short trade. You will know that by now. I will take a long trade if we get a fake out at a range low. I'm happy to be in a very similar situation like I am on silver. On silver, I'm in a short from the high. I'm in a long from the low. I will happily be the same on Bitcoin if the setup comes short from the highs and long from the lows. I'm not against being in that situation on a 5-minute chart, as I am as saying I'll be happy to do that on a 4-hour chart. It's just my style of trading. I love to trade that way. Again, at one point then, we will get a break of the range low. I will look for the bigger drop, or we get the break of the range high. We then either get the fake out or the continuation higher. It is as simple as that, in my opinion. So yeah, just a nice quick live stream update. Hope you've thoroughly enjoyed. If you want to join that $10,000 giveaway, you literally have a few more days left to make advantage of the deal, the $10,000 giveaway. If you want to get involved with the community, the live streams, the predictions, everything like that, chartchampions.com, of course, for all the good stuff there. Apart from that, yeah, I just hope that you thoroughly enjoyed. I will just say that. Thank you ever so much. And it's a pleasure, as always, to hang out with you all here on stream. Yeah, thank you ever so much. Hope you've enjoyed. And that is me now, finally signing out. Cheers. Thank you, Anne. Goodbye.